our two professional development experts this evening. And I hope you enjoy and learn and grow from promoting the value of health and physical education. Thank you.
Yes, thanks everybody for coming on tonight. My name is Bev Martin. I'm the advocacy chair of SHAPE PA.
And I am Amber Lindbergh. I am a current health and phys ed teacher at Bloomsburg Area School District.
All right, I'm going to share my screen and we'll get right into the PowerPoint. You have questions, you could enter them into the chat, and then maybe every so often we'll check and see if we can answer them while we're proceeding through the PowerPoint. All right, I am going to make this so it's larger for us. Okay, tonight we're going to basically try to give you some strategies to use in your school districts and to implement for the promotion of the value of health and physical education programs. We're going to briefly go over the role of health and PE, do a little quick overview of Shape America's Speak Out Day, remind ourselves what quality HPE is, and then get right into the strategies at the end here. Basically, the role of PE as far as when you want to promote the value of health and physical education is it's critical for us to teach our students how to live a healthy and active lifestyle now and in the future so that they can have the best quality of life and live the best quality of life. Okay, so the best people that can do that within a school system, the best teachers that have the most robust training, the most expertise, the most experience, and the proper certification to do that are health and physical educators. So if we can remember what that role is, despite whatever is going to be happening in the U.S. Department of Ed and so forth, the need for students to learn how to live a healthy and active lifestyle is there. They need to learn that, and we are the ones that can teach it to them. So just keep that in your mind. We have an important job to do with our students. And when you're talking about the value of physical education, it's different in different states. Some states have some regulations and policies and laws that have positive outcomes, and other states have some negative outcomes. So it's always good to check in what's happening in our country so that we see where Pennsylvania fits in with things. Some states, such as New Jersey, they have an actual law that dictates how many mandatory minutes of instruction there needs to be for health and physical education. How many minutes that the students need to receive. So there's also states that have daily physical education. And of course, that third bullet there, you see, in order to have daily physical education, you've got to have adequate staff positions and have adequate space. Now, those tend to be states that are in a better climate, more temperate, weather. And so those are some positive things that, when you're talking to people from other states, that can happen through regulation and legislation and so forth. Unfortunately, there's some negative things that can happen also. Indiana is struggling because their state passed a law that allows extracurricular activities such as interscholastic sports and any cheerleading, any kind of extracurricular activity that has a physical component to it. They're allowing that to count towards physical education requirements, and it's an actual law in their state. That's why I want to thank anybody on this PowerPoint or on this webinar tonight that if you've signed one of Shape PA's petitions in the past where we're opposing a bill, a state bill that wants to make a law like this, we appreciate your signatures. It's very important for us to get a robust number of signatures, like at least 1,500 or 2,000, for it to be effective. So please, if we put out a petition, please keep signing those. We highly appreciate it. Also in Indiana, after the ninth grade, the students don't have to take physical education if they're taking that, if they are participating in an extracurricular activity. So if you could think about that, having physical education for the last time in ninth grade, and health, and then never again for the rest of your, high school career there. So these are things that we don't want to have happen in Pennsylvania. And that's why we keep fighting these certain laws that come up in our state. Now, Shape America has excellent documents that promote the value of health and physical education. They have documents that have a lot of data on them, and position statements and reports like that. So they're a good source of if you're looking for some kind of documentation with stats and so forth. At Speak Out Day this past February, they did have one slide. This is off of their PowerPoint. This slide here, I kind of summarized it a little bit differently, but they want to make sure that health and PE is still valued, because when money starts getting cut, you know what happens to the special subjects. So they wanted us to make sure we could understand what U.S. Department of Ed does and what they do not do. And of course, they have they give the federal monies to the title programs in all the states. They also give money for college students as far as student loans. If there's an issue happening a lot, like in the past, maybe like vaping or something like that, opioid addiction, they will focus on those kind of things. And one of the more important things is that they provide equal access for all students to education. So you can literally have a classroom where in this seat in the front row, you might have the upper middle class child, and then 2 seats over from him, it could be an economically disadvantaged child, but they're in that same classroom with the same teacher, with the same Chromebooks or whatever the school might have. So they're getting that equal access to education. One thing that the U.S. Department does not do is establish schools. They don't create school districts. They do not write curriculums and recommend that you use a certain curriculum. They do not write standards. Those are all done by the state or the local school district. The curriculums by the school district and the standards by the state. So when we got to our training session in Washington, D.C. for Speak Out, Day, Shape America Speak Out Day. They do train you on, they give you materials, and Amberlyn is going to go over this right a little later here, next actually. But they always give you some asks, and some of the asks they gave are with funding of the Title IV Part A, funding Title II Part A, and to visit a school that has a good quality health and physical education program in their state. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Amberlyn. Amberlyn came for the first time to Shape America's Speak Out Day. And so I asked her to give her perspective. Before I turn it over to Amberlyn, do we have any questions at all yet about anything that was covered that needs to be answered? Rick's checking the chat for me, right?
Yeah,
Rick?
there's nothing in the chat yet, Bev.
Okay,
So,
good.
yeah.
All right, so I'm going to turn it over to Amberlyn. She's standing there outside of her representative's office there. Okay, Amberlyn, take it away.
All right, well, thank you. So yeah, my very first Speak Out Day was everything it was talked up to be, for sure. And maybe then some. So they set you up for success right away. You register, and pretty much as soon as you register, you start getting information. So a few weeks prior, they set up a Zoom webinar just like this. They host a session. They let you know kind of what changes are happening between budget items, member changes. So whether it's the education committee or anything like that, they will go over all the different changes of Democrat, Republican, who they've worked with in the past and who is absolutely brand new to even them. So they really try to set you up for success and encourage you to kind of research the people that you are going to be meeting with, research your representatives. So one, this makes it more personal. You're able to talk a little bit about them, but I dove a little deeper and I actually looked up their voting record. As far as what they voted yes and no for since they've been elected, just so I had an idea of kind of where they stood on certain issues. So during that research, like I said, I dove in a little bit deeper just so I could have more of a, I guess, a more meaty conversation, so to speak, and it wasn't just the blanket, oh, hey, I saw you're from such and such of area, and that I was able to get to know them even a little bit more as far as politically. So
Yeah.
and then the day before, so we go down, it's a 2-day thing. So you're there, the first day you are there, you basically review the webinar, go over all the changes again, if there were any changes after that webinar up until that meeting. And then they actually have a staffer of one of the representatives come in and they present. And this staffer, I mean, he really nailed it. You know, we're there because of children. We're there to make a difference in their lives. Yes, we're there for money for the children, but if you can find a way to make it about the child and the students that we serve and not just a dollar amount, that would really hit home more so with these representatives and just coming in and being like, hey, this is the money we need, and not really explaining why we need it. So that was a great talking point. And I know, Bev, you shared a couple of stories where that made it more personal as far as like your experiences as far as teaching. So like I said, you just explain your ask, Title II, professional development, making sure that we have the funding so that way we can become the best version of ourselves as teachers and provide the best education that we can to our students. And then the Title IV Part A, any necessary equipment that we may need. So I know some schools are very fortunate and have a very good surplus as far as equipment goes. And then there are other schools that may be lacking in equipment and we have to get very creative. So Title IV Part A is definitely something equipment wise, again, to make sure that we are providing the best education that we can for our students. They do provide handouts the day before the meetings. So we get little folders that look just like this. Okay, and it is packed with all the information that you are going to give to your representative. They even had extras. So what we did was we researched who was from our state on the education committee, and we made random stops at theirs, even though they weren't on our schedule for that day. So we were, supplied the extra that we could go out, and even if we didn't have an actual meeting with them, we still dropped off the information of, business cards and the information that we were provided from Shape America. Okay, go ahead. All right, and then day of meetings, transportation is provided. If you need to leave Capitol Hill early, that's kind of on you to get your Uber and all of that back to either the hotel or the airport, depending on where you're going. But they do make sure that everything is provided for you. And then if you needed to go off of what the schedule was, then you would have to provide that on your own. But you just follow the meeting schedule that they provided with you the day before. Walk around beautiful Capitol Hill, enjoy it all, and then you meet with them. So we actually met with Dave McCormick. He had his Keystone Coffee group, and so we got to meet with him for a little bit. And ironically, his one staffer forgot her badge and was in line behind us getting into Capitol. So we actually had a very lengthy conversation with her. So I think we just kind of lucked out. The odds were definitely in our favor because that line was so long, Bev. Oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it. But yeah, if you do go to speak out there, yeah, provide yourself some time for lines. But other than that, it was great. And then, like I said, just hand out those handouts, and always make sure you get their business cards, so that way you can follow up. And then after event, like I said, make sure you follow up, give a little thank you email, touch on kind of what you guys have talked about. So if there was something that stood out, oh, sorry, there's my dog. Little photo bomb, but just send a little thank you email, a letter, something that, you want to make sure that they know that you appreciate their time. And then they really promoted backyard advocacy, which is kind of what we're doing now, is trying to set you all up for success of being advocates within your backyard. Maybe you can't go to Capitol Hill or make it down to Harrisburg. We are providing you ways that maybe you can get out and advocate for yourself and for your students within your backyard. So principals, curriculum directors, superintendents, board members, if you know board members that maybe have their kids in class, okay, local state representatives, and then just kind of empowering each other, talking to other teachers within neighboring districts or even your own district, kind of rallying together and helping each other.
Yes, like as Aberlin was saying, it is a 2-day commitment to go to Shape America Speak Out Day, because you have a training that starts in the afternoon around 1 or 1:30, and then the next day you're over on Capitol Hill the whole day. And your lodging and travel is on you. However, they do have a travel scholarship that you can apply for. You're not necessarily guaranteed to receive it, but I've received it a couple times in my participation down there. But there is a cost and a time, release time involved to do this. I mean, it's worthwhile, but there is a cost for it. And then even at the state level, if you decide you want to go to Harrisburg, that could be a drive for you, could involve a half a day off or whatever. Or, you could wait till the summer and visit with your state rep or state senator when they're at the home district. You just have to watch the calendar as to when they are on recess from Harrisburg, and then they would be in your home area then. But the way that we're going to talk about tonight, the rest of the night here, is things that you can do right there within your own school building, school district, school community. So it's at little or no cost, and no having to get release time, that kind of thing. So this is the way we hope to encourage people to start off if you've never gone to an event before and you just want to start off within your own building or school district. This is an easy way to do it. Now, I don't recall the first thing if you want to promote the value of health and PE, the first place to start is to try to provide the best quality health and PE that you can under the conditions you are working with in your district right now. So if you recall, Shape PA had this document on the website right before the convention this past November, and we had a little contest. We tried to get people to share this checklist on physical education and health, so they could kind of self-evaluate your own program. Some of the things which I have listed here on the left, the bullets on the left, or the columns that appear on this checklist, some of these things are under the teacher's control. You can decide whether your curriculum is going to go beyond the old teaching sports skills and sports rules year after year after year, or are you going to use PDE resources or other resources to provide a more of a program that's based on wellness and lifetime fitness and those kind of things. So some of these things you can control, some can't. You can't. Class environment. Are you a teacher who caters to the students who are very athletically inclined, or are you a teacher that includes everybody? And teacher instruction. Do you guide what's going on, even if you use a student-centered kind of? Are you guiding what's happening in that lesson, or are you sitting in the corner just kind of like monitoring like it's recess? Okay, I'm using some extreme examples here, but what I'm trying to point out is that some of this stuff is under your control and some is not. Assessment. Do you ever use summative and formative assessments, even if they're teacher-made ones? Do you ever document what you think, what you saw your students doing or particular students doing? Do you have the students self-evaluate themselves? Your activities or your health activities, are they going to build health literacy? Is your health curriculum going to build on the health skills, not just content? Are your activities inclusive in PE? Now, frequency, I understand how that is out of the average teacher's control. You know, you don't necessarily get the last word on how many days per week students receive health education or physical education. So that's always a tough one to work on. And I noticed when I looked at these checklists that we had, people were submitting them, that was the most highest red column thing, the frequency. If there was one thing that people weren't able to do, it was they didn't feel that the frequency of their health, especially health or even PE, is adequate enough so that the students could attain the standards. And then professional development, you don't always have control over that because you're not always given a release time to go to something. You may not have enough personal days left to burn, to go to some workshops or conventions or conferences. But I encourage you I might ask Chance to put this back on the advocacy, under the advocacy tab. Just because I noticed I took some of these checklists to Slippery Rock University's mini convention that they had 2 weeks ago. And by 10 o'clock, I think I had 12 copies. They were all gone. So I may ask Chance to put it back on the website, and then people can download it or just view it, or actually download and print it, however you would like to do that. But so if you can pick one thing that you feel that maybe you're a little bit lacking on, and work on that one category and slowly build your program up to being a more quality one. Because if people notice that you run a quality program, the value of your program and your teaching may increase. Okay, so some of the other strategies after you get that quality PE, health and PE going, we have about 5 things we could talk about tonight. The use of classroom digitals or visuals, the use of cross-curricular activities, using your school website for a health and physical education page or a newsletter, having a special event, and as Evelyn was talking about, school board presentations. So we'll go over each one of these right now. Okay, here's some visuals for health. This is next couple of slides I had in my session that I did in November for Shape PA. So you may have seen this if you were in my session. But I always believe that I believe in visuals, because when you're not there, they speak for you. If a parent's in the school building after school, when they see this 6-step decision-making process poster up on the health room door, that might impress them. They might feel that, oh, that's something valuable for their child to learn. And they might even think to themselves, oh, you mean health isn't just drug, alcohol, tobacco, and sex education? You mean there's other things to health, other things other than those content-driven things that students can learn and become health literate and have health skills, So I believe in visuals, and I know some schools you may not be able to hang things up in certain places, but the health classroom is a good spot. In elementary school, you could even hang them in the gymnasium if you don't have a health classroom. Then over on the right side, this document, okay, wait, let me tell you that the side document is from thephysicaleducator.com, Joey Fight. Some of his posters are free. So you want to go to thephysicaleducator.com. I don't know him. I don't get money from him. I'm just telling you, he has posters that are great, and some of them are free. And some is a small fee for them, and he'll send them to you digitally. So you can work with them digitally or get them printed out. The document on the right here, What I Learned in Health Education, that is from Shape America. That I know is free. If you are a member of Shape America, you can download that for free. If you're not a member, I think it's $4.99. And that one I have up here is a secondary. I know you probably can't read it very well, but on the left column are the health skills. And then on the right column, it's put in the like a student version of language, like I will learn this, I will learn that, you know. So it's like a student-friendly column on the right. And they have a health education secondary and elementary, and a physical education secondary and elementary. So I would advocate sticking those up. People look at that and they, you know, it might break their stereotypical thinking of what health and physical education is, how it's different now from when they were in school. Okay, here's some more digitals. On the left, skill-related components of fitness, and this is again the physicaleducator.com. He also has the health-related components of fitness and these little cards you can use in class. A lot of things. But again, where, you know, this is some different kind of information. It's not about a sport or a sports skill. I'm not against sports, you know, don't think I'm against sports. I am not. It's just that when you get up into especially the secondary level, high school level, you know, you certainly can play sports, but there's usually another focus to the class. So it goes beyond the sports skills and the sports rules and so forth. So when people, laymen, parents, so forth, they see this and they don't see anything about sports, and they're like, oh, they're learning some different things here. Different. I never learned that when I was in school, and you know, it's just it just breaks that stereotype, that image that some people have about health and physical education. The document on the right here, that's SEL and physical education. That is Captain Pete Sherritt, and it emphasizes the fact that when you're in physical education, you're not just focusing on the psychomotor domain. You might actually also be working on the cognitive domain, and would be the affective domain. So, you know, people aren't used to seeing that as being something you would teach about or stress during physical education. But again, you wanna break that stereotype. You want to show a wider variety of what happens in class and what's emphasized, what's focused on, so forth. So cross-curricular activities. Elementary, there's so much equipment that has letters, numerals, sight words, simple math operations, and parachutes with math problems on them, and planets, and you know, everything like that. You could kind of reinforce some little tiny aspect of what they're learning in class. Now, Abby Lynn, I think you have done this. Would you like to share?
Yeah, so I actually had emails, so this is at the elementary level. I sent out an email to all of the teachers to send me a list of words, whether it was sight words or whether it was math problems, whatever they were working on for that week. And on Amazon, some of you have probably seen something like this, but these are just little pouches that you can use dry erase markers, and you can fit any piece of paper worksheet that you want in it. The one that I had in there was staying safe during physical activity. So putting that responsibility and that self-awareness of how they can stay safe while being physically active. So they had a list of different activities. And like I said, I went and emailed, and for my uppers, we did crosswords. So that it was like a relay race. They had to do different type of locomotor movements across the gym, and manipulatives as far as tossing, throwing, kicking. So it just depended on the age level and kind of where we were at for the year. But they completed the task, then they got to go find a word. And then the next person had to go complete the task and all of that. So they really had to work as a team. And it wasn't just one person. Obviously, I know crossword puzzles, you get some people that really love them, and word searches and all of that. So it wasn't just one person dominating. I really had to reinforce that it was a team effort. So that's just a couple things that I've done, getting the other teachers involved, and then just making sure it is definitely words that they've already touched on in that school year, not words that are going to be coming up, because then, you know, you can always answer those questions, but then the kids are like, well, what does that mean? What does that mean? And then what I did at my other district, so this is my first year at Bloomsburg, but my other district, I did for my 7th and 8th graders. I kind of had like a word of the week. It just kind of happened. We were playing spike ball one day and I talked about trajectory. And they just like stopped and looked at me. And I'm like, well, what's that? So then we came up with a word of the day. So then I actually had the physical science teacher coming to me. I was like, well, you know, they're asking me words we haven't even got on yet, but that's awesome. Like, keep doing what you're doing. So it was a good way to, I guess, get the other teachers involved and even kind of shine a light on what we are capable of as health and physical educators. Like, it's not just, like Bev had mentioned, it's not just sports model anymore. It is a well-rounded student and individual. So that's just a couple things that I had done currently and in the past.
All right, yes, that's a good examples. It just helps not only, like you say, build that relationship with other teachers that maybe are surprised you would even think about talking about such things. But then when they go home and talk about it, you know, it's something else, and it reinforces what that classroom teacher, one little part of what they're doing, and so that builds the value also.
Can I interrupt for just a second? We do have a couple things in the chat here. If you just take a look and verify that we have the good information and captured all of the resources you were telling us about.
Okay.
So I don't know if you could see, but basically asking about the resource you had mentioned earlier about the posters that could potentially be gotten for free. And so Miranda had put in physical educator, which Colleen followed up with Joey Fife at the physical educator and thephysicaleducator.com. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Cool.
Thephysicaleducator.com. It is Joey Fife. Yeah.
Okay.
And
Perfect.
then Captain Pete. CAPNPETE.
Okay.
Pete
Clever.
Carrot. He has some, yeah. He has some posters too that are
Okay. Fantastic.
great.
Just want to make sure we caught up to that. So good
Yeah,
stuff.
and
Yep.
yeah.
Right. Carry on.
Okay. This is kind of getting near the end here, but if you can also use your school website, if you're permitted to have a health and physical education page, you can always talk about what you're doing on the school website. And Deb Lawler, she was the keynote speaker at Slippery Rock University's mini convention a couple of weeks ago, and she talked about how one of her newsletters went out and somebody liked something, I think it was badminton, she was talking about, and the next thing she knows, she was given all this new badminton equipment. So, you know, if you can reach out to parents or community with the newsletter or on the website, you might gain, you know, people on that outside begin to value what you are doing and what your program does for students. And you know, you might get some equipment out of it. Also, special event nights. I know some schools have wellness nights. They might have them only in the winter time or once a week or something like that, where of course that would be kind of a The people who I know have done this kind of do it voluntarily. You're not getting paid to do it. But they just put on a wellness night at their school and have the parents come and the students come, and they can participate in different activities and learn about different equipment that they maybe aren't familiar with. Also, presenting to your principal or curriculum director or superintendent, or even your school board. Now, Avery Lynn she was gung-ho, and she presented to, what was it, your curriculum director, Avery Lynn? Tell
Yeah,
her
we
about that.
Yep, so curriculum director I presented to, and we just got a new principal at our middle school. So I have a meeting set up with her tomorrow morning to show her everything that I have. I went out with a 70-slide presentation of all the research of data for our county versus the state and different things that we touch on in health, and use the PACE data and obesity rates and all of that. So yeah, we'll see what tomorrow morning brings, but as of now, yes, just my curriculum director, and it kind of definitely caught her attention. Her eyes lit up with some of the slides that I was showing as far as what our statistics are just for our county. She knew some things were high, but she didn't, I don't think, realized just how high and how we kind of ranked with the state. So I know that definitely got her attention. So let's just hope that it pays off, I guess, a little long run.
Yes, yes. Okay, well, we wanted to leave some time at the end for any questions, but I just want to say to you, if you don't work in a ideal setting, I didn't work in an ideal setting. We sit here and we go through this PowerPoint and talk, and it makes it sound like everything is hunky-dory and whatever. But I know what it's like, just so you realize, I know what it's like not to work in an ideal setting and not to have the conditions that you want. You have to try to do the best you can with what you have, but always voice your desire for something to improve, and voice that, or voice your opposition to something in a respectful way. But try to do the things that you have under your control to improve your program, to promote the value of what the content area, health and physical education, does for students, and to even promote you as a teacher. You had the student teach like everybody else did. There are a few people in this world that don't realize that. It's unbelievable. But just try to persevere and hang in there, work on one thing at a time, and do what you can, improve what you can improve, and keep asking for improvements that are out of your control. So do we have any other questions or anything, Rick, from the chat or?
No, nothing else in the chat. Yeah, but it's great on this page. You do have those references we were just asking about. They're over there on the left-hand side, so it's easy for everybody to find them. So thank you for that. Great content. So when you went through like all the quality physical education and all those great things, I don't know if I missed it, how do you link that back to the advocacy piece and what you're going to talk to people about? Are you sharing how well you are doing with that? What's the take-home message?
Well, we wanted people to examine their program,
Mm-hmm.
and they could do it just privately,
Okay.
or they could get with their principal and do it. But the takeaway is there are things on that list that you can control.
Mm-hmm.
You have control over. Some you
Gotcha.
do, some you do not.
Right. So control the controllables and then use that to your advantage to advocate for your program, your profession, and your students.
Yes, yes,
Okay. All right.
yes,
Making
yes.
sure
Yeah.
I got the summary. Very cool. I'm not seeing any
And
other questions here in the chat yet, but we'll give it a minute or two. It's very
yeah.
thorough, and so I'm not sure if there would be questions. You did a great job sharing with everybody your experience with Speak Out Day. There is not one currently scheduled in Harrisburg on a regular basis, correct?
No, we had done that in the past,
Right.
and when it began to when people began having difficulty getting released because of the substitute teacher shortage,
Mm-hmm.
we kind of backed off a little bit, because if you go to Harrisburg and you don't have a respectable amount of people there, and
Mm-hmm.
then like if you're putting on like an event, it can kind of backfire.
Sure. I got
So
you.
we need to be like real secure on that we're going to get health and physical educators there,
Sure. I got you.
you know. So we haven't done one since I think 2015 or 16.
Wow.
I
Okay.
lost track now. So maybe we should resurrect it again, but this is not maybe not the best time either, though.
True. Yeah. So something to think about though, how we might put that together even for a day or something to get everybody engaged and involved, because it's exciting to see the number who are here on this webinar. So thanks to everybody for being here and your interest in advocacy and how you can advocate in your school, for your profession, maybe at the state, maybe you get to go to Speak Out Day next year. I've been there as well. It's a fantastic event. I thoroughly enjoyed going down there and getting to meet all the people and stuff. So good times.
Yes, yes, yes.
I'm
Ambry
hearing
Lynn, did you have a
So
final comment, Ambry Lynn?
yeah, so I was just gonna say, I know, just kind of answering Rick's question, like, don't be afraid to pat yourself on the back and like,
Mhm.
don't be afraid to be like, hey, this is what I'm doing, because yeah, administrators are maybe going through your building, maybe they're not, maybe you see them pop in, but like, they're not there for an entire lesson. So like, unless you're getting formally observed or walk through observation. So that's only a couple days out of their year that they're actually seeing you. So don't be afraid to say, no, like, I am doing a good job and this is what I'm doing. You know, show assessments, whether you have, you know, beginning of the school versus end or whatever it may be. So don't be, just don't be afraid to. And thankfully, I've been able to attend some of the things. I was able to attend conference. I was able to attend Shape America, and it's only empowered me more. So I guess this is where I'm going to put in my little plug of come be a member of Shape PA if you aren't already, and get out and join committees. I did not mention in the beginning, I probably should have, but I am the committee chair for the Leadership and Member Engagement Committee. So I'm the chairperson for that, and I'm also part of the Health Committee for Shape PA. I'm board of director. I'm a member. So I'm here to make a difference for students, and the more I can empower you, I feel like I'm doing good. So I think the more people we can get empowering each other and supporting each other, the better off our entire state is going to be. So that, I guess, is just going to be my little plug, that if you aren't a member, if you aren't involved, please come join us. We're pretty awesome. I've only been a part of Shape PA for a little bit, and I can't get enough of it. So
Yay.
hats off to everybody I'm working with so far. So
Best testimonial ever.
yeah.
Absolutely. Great. Hmm. Okay, well, if there's no other questions or
There is
anything.
one that just came in, said,
Okay.
yeah, word of the day is a good idea. What's another unique practice that you incorporate?
I think. Well, hmm, that's a good question. I mean, yeah, just trying to make it more so about the skills. I mean, just trying to break down each skill so it's not just memorizing and regurgitating. It's more just having them make their choices and evaluating themselves and assessing kind of themselves, and, oh, was that the best choice? And I even use, so if a student is repetitively needing guided to make better choices, so to speak. I'll put it nicely. I actually typed up, based on the decide model that Bev shared, okay, what action had me excused from activity. They have to do like a self-reflection as to, and it breaks down the decide model. Okay, well, what other options did I have? Okay, well, what are some outcomes from those options? When this happens next time, which option am I going to choose? Am I going to choose the one that's going to have me sit again, or am I going to choose a better one? So I guess that, I don't know if any others do that, but I guess that's kind of unique. I don't see any, at least in the district that I'm in, I haven't heard anyone kind of use it more of a self-reflection and guided piece instead of just, okay, go have a seat, like you're being disruptive. It breaks it down more as to really recognizing what they're doing.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I think in fact, I'm recalling that a poster that the physicaleducator.com Joey Fife had. It's why? No, wait, no. What are we learning? Why are we learning it? How do I know I learned it? And then the word lens, which means what emotional lens, what are we going to focus on today? And it's like you're saying, self-management or whatever emotion it might be. So that was another thing he had, what, why, how, and the lens.
Cool. Linda, do you have something for us to wrap up this evening? It's top of the hour, 8 o'clock.
I'd like to say thanks to everyone who
Mhm.
joined us today. And if you'll see there on your screen, there's a new member offer, 20% off membership if you're a first time. I would love to see people that are here and joining us this evening to promote health and physical education, to join our wonderful organization and become a part and learn and grow at the same time, because together we are stronger.
Perfect. All right. Well, thanks everybody. Appreciate your time and attention this evening. Thanks to Bev and Amber Lynn for this fantastic presentation, and everybody have a fantastic night. You will be getting the notifications for your Act 48 credits, and you will also be getting a recording sent to you from this evening. So look forward to that, and have a great night, everybody.
Thank
Thanks.
you so much.
Well done.
Thank